with the LA Dodgers and the Milwaukee Brewers tonight on FS1. Well, it's a sweet sound, isn't it, everybody? Game 7. I'm Joe Buck along with the Hall of Famer John Smoltz, and maybe as far as 2 words are concerned, the sweetest sound in all of professional sports. However, maybe world champion trumps that. For one of these 2 teams to have a chance to become a world champion, they got to win tonight. So let's talk about the Dodgers, and we'll start with this kid who gets the ball tonight, Walker Buehler. He can light up a radar gun. What an opportunity for the 24-year-old tonight.
Great opportunity, and you're right. There's nothing better to play in a Game 7. But what you have to do, no matter if you're 24-year-old or 38-year-old, you cannot expend a lot of energy early. And the thing about a Game 7 is you know your leash is going to be short, but don't give the manager a reason to take you out. He has all the stuff in the world. Watch his RPMs. If he gets too excited and throws too hard, that's the only thing that's going to get his stuff away from being dynamic.
Yeah, in fact, Dave Roberts, his manager, said, I'm going to tell him to back down. I'm not going to say give us your best for as long as you can go and just empty it out. I'm going to back him down. On the other side, you've got a Milwaukee team. It could not be set up any better. And for the Brewers, they've got Yoli Chacin going. Of all the guys, he's been the one mainstay in this rotation really since the season began.
He's been unbelievable. He pitched game 163 to kind of put him in this situation. And when you come to Game 7, you've got a weapon. You've got a lot of weapons. And the pressure's going to be on Craig Counsell to get his weapons early. But look at what he's done. And the Dodgers have not done anything against the Brewers starters. So if you're Chacin, you want to do the same thing, spin those breaking balls. You know you don't have to pitch deep. And guess who's waiting? Some weapons, starting with Hader in the bullpen.
Yeah, that's the big name. He did not get in the game last night, so he is ready for a long effort tonight if needed. For more on the Brewers bullpen and Hader, there's Ken Rosenthal.
Thanks, Joe. Josh Hader has thrown only 28 pitches the past 7 days. He likely will be the Brewers' first reliever tonight, but he might not last as long as everyone thinks. Don't be surprised if the Brewers use their top righties, Jeremy Jefferson and Corey Knebel, for big spots in the middle innings. Joakim Soria and Brandon Woodruff will be available late. Woodruff, in fact, might end up closing this game. Now over to Tom Verducci.
Well, thanks, Ken. The Dodgers have their own Josh Hader tonight. Clayton Kershaw will pitch out of the bullpen tonight for the Dodgers, just as he did in the last 2 years in winner-take-all games. Manager Dave Roberts said he could use him early in long relief or late in a high-leverage spot, saying, I don't see a scenario where he doesn't pitch. Now in a series with 61 pitching changes already, the pitching changes involving Hader and Kershaw tonight loom the largest. Joe?
Yeah, no doubt about that. It has been a series that has featured change after change after change. One of these 2 teams will stamp their ticket for the World Series. It starts on Tuesday night. Who takes on the Red Sox? We're about to find out.
Welcome to October. It's what you dream of as a kid.
Whether you've been here before
or if it's your first time.
There's nothing like the postseason. Who will write their name in postseason history?
An unlikely hero will emerge.
Can you handle the pressure?
The quest to be a champion.
Quest to be a champion.
The quest to be a champion.
It all comes down to tonight.
How about a little history lesson for game number 7 for the Dodgers' 3-4 record all time. Their long history for the Brewers, who came to Milwaukee in 1970. An 0-1 record. That was game 7 on the road in the 1982 World Series in St. Louis. So that means this is the first game 7 for the Milwaukee Brewers here at home. And the home team is 6-3 in NLCS history. Let's take a look at the Dodgers lineup. Different look here tonight, and we'll explain why as we get into this first inning. Jock Peterson, Max Muncy, and Justin Turner, the top 3. In the middle, it's Manny Machado, who is public enemy #1 in these parts. Cody Bellinger and Yasiel Puig. And the back end, 7, 8, and 9. Chris Taylor, Austin Barnes, and Walker Buehler, the talented rookie right-hander. And here is Jhoulys Chacín. We gave you the numbers a little bit ago during our opening. He has been so good. Basically 3 postseason starts, if you count game number 163 at Wrigley in that category.
Yeah, he doesn't have to go very long. He's averaging 5 innings and a third, but you see no runs there. And tonight's game is going to be filled with tension. Can he have the touch and loose and live, and really the way the Milwaukee Brewers have been all this postseason, almost as if it is just a regular season game.
Jock Peterson, first pitch swinging, grounds to the right side and is out #1. Travis Shaw tucked into shallow right, had to hurry the throw as Peterson was hustling, and 1 pitch, 1 out. And that gives us a chance to give you our keys to the game, sponsored by LG V40.
When you're a great team and you've had the power that the Dodgers have, you don't really think about winning the first 3 innings. But winning the first 3 innings for both teams is vital. There's no fun in this game for the managers at all. Actually, the players might have more fun than the managers do, because managing a game 7 really is stressful.
Max Muncy now with 1 out, nobody on. The Dodgers start tonight hitting .210 in this LCS and .210 in this postseason overall. A lot of strikeouts, a lot of head scratching at bats, a lot of big swings, and not a ton of contact.
Yeah, and not a lot of good at bats early enough to put pressure on the Milwaukee Brewers starters. It's one thing to have the discipline that they had over 162 games, but they've kind of come away from that and made the mistake of expanding the zones and creating a weakness that they didn't have during the regular season.
That flips in there for a strike. A 2-0 breaking ball from the crafty right-hander Jhoulys Chacín. The Dodgers have scored only 4 runs off Brewers starting pitching in this LCS. And this was a team that led the league, averaging just under 5 runs per game. That franchise record mark of 235 home runs. Even the home runs have been hard to come by. Here's a 3-1 to Muncy. Full count.
Well, the crowd is going to be a huge factor, and if you're Chacín, you want them like this. But you don't want them like this to elevate your pitches and get you too amped up. You want it loud, that means you're doing well. On the flip side, Buehler wants a dull roar. He doesn't want them like this.
A 1-out walk. And that quiets the crowd, which is packed in here, ready to celebrate. And they hope send their team off to the World Series on Tuesday night at Fenway. The batter will be Justin Turner. He has hit one of just 3 home runs in this NLCS for the Dodgers.
You know, people ask, can you actually hear the crowd? Well, if you hear the crowd in the volume they're in, you're in trouble. But if you hear a buzz or kind of the description of players in the zone, he's between the batter and the catcher and he lives in that tunnel. That's the goal for every game like this.
Breaking ball misses down from Chassin. We talked about home runs. These were the top 2 home run hitting teams in the National League this season, and we just haven't seen many on either side. 3 for LA, 5 for Milwaukee. That's a strike, a ball and a strike.
That's his money pitch. He pitches to 2 or 3 different breaks, and he'll change his motion, not out of the stretch, but out of the windup, and create a timing mechanism that messes up the hitters.
Turner in the back end of the batter's box waits, takes strike 2. Hit and foul down the left field line. And that guy will have to live down that moment to friends and family going forward. And just for good measure, by the way, I have nothing to do with calling for replays. I was willing to let it go one time. Able to smile about it. 1-2 the count, 1 on, 1 out. Peterson went after the first pitch, grounded out. Muncy walked. Two and 2. Yoeli Chassin, and you were going in this direction a moment ago, is one of those right-handers who creates on the mound.
Yeah, he does, and he creates different spins. It looks like some of them float, and how did the hitters miss it? But he creates different illusions and changes their eye levels and speed, and then throws that sinking 91-mile-an-hour fastball.
Might be 2. Arcia. Shaw can't get it out of his glove and still turns it. Defense has been a highlight for the Brewers in this LCS. A little double clutch. Still got it done. No score after a half. After a half inning in game number 7, and Lorenzo Cain strides to the plate, leads it off. Christian Yelich bats second. Ryan Braun hits third. In the middle, Travis Shaw, Jesus Aguilar, and Mike Moustakas. And the back end of the lineup, Eric Kratz, the catcher again, Orlando Arcia, and Yuli Chassin. If you added all the pitchers that both sides have together, you'd say Hader's got dynamic stuff, and for the Dodgers it might be Walker Buehler who has the most electrifying arsenal.
Absolutely, and be careful on this first pitch with Cain to try to get it going for the Brewers. And he threw it up, so no chance of that first pitch ambush. But that's going to be the key. The fastball, if he can keep it near the strike zone, he'll have success, because then it complements his secondary stuff. But he can get fastball heavy upstairs.
That's inside, and the count 2-0. A couple of 97-mile-an-hour pitches, and Buehler asks if that ball was in or up. The answer was in.
No, it sounds elementary, but when you're in a game like this, you really grind on the first hitter of every inning. It just seems like it's a tremendous rally if the first guy gets on to start the inning.
2-1. Can you imagine what it would be like to be a 24-year-old right-hander pitching a game 7?
I actually can.
I know you can. And I'm sure for the rest of us mere mortals, you can't explain what the feeling is like. Here's a 2-1.
Well, I can tell you, if you don't start out believing you've always wanted to be in that spot, then the feeling's not going to match it. And it certainly has to come from within. And I think this kid, having talking to him, he absolutely has the confidence to know he's as good as it gets, and he deserves to be on that mound. He's going to let you know about it.
Ken Rosenthal, give us more on Walker Buehler.
Well, Walker pitched in back-to-back College World Series at Vanderbilt, including an elimination game, a winner-take-all in 2015. Spoke with his college coach Tim Corbin today. He said the moment won't beat him. Milwaukee will have to.
He starts strong with a strikeout of Cain at 98 miles an hour.
And it's a smooth 98. It's not one of those that rear back and grunt. And that's a key to start the game. Look, everybody has anxiousness and a little bit of nerves, but it settles quickly when you get in the flow of the game. And then it's just like another game until the crowd reacts a little differently. Obviously, they would never be like this in a regular season game.
Here's Yelich. First pitch, hack and strike 1. Walker Buehler pitched that game number 163 at Dodger Stadium against the Rockies. Went 6 2/3, allowed 1 hit in a 5-2 win on the 1st of October to give his Dodgers the division championship. Into right center, back at the wall, it is gone. Yelich is first. Milwaukee takes a first-inning lead. First of the NLCS. And have these Brewers been waiting for that against the Dodgers?
Oh, it's really the first fastball he's timed up. And what a time for him to time one up here in game 7. Now this ball, I think, clears the wall by 2 inches, it seems like. Puig gave an unbelievable effort to get over there. And if he could have got there in time, I believe he would have caught it, but he had a long ways to go.
Yelich went deep once against Colorado. Here's Braun after the first pitch, strike 1. And he gets his first of this series. His first RBI. And it cleared.
Wow.
By not much.
I mean, Puig's in a full sprint. And that's what happens when you can't get back to the wall the time you jump. You see the glove hits the wall and it actually knocks you down.
Braun, left side, Turner. 2 down. Hard to believe the top two home run hitting teams in the National League. That was the first home run hit by an outfielder for either team in this series, and the Yelich just was so good in the second half of the regular season. Got walked a lot in the division series and shut down for the most part until here in the first inning of Game 7.
Well, if he's pressing, he's not showing it because he was quiet there and he let the power of Buehler's fastball be perfect for his swing.
Shaw takes a ball.
And that's what I was talking about, tensious moments and anxious moments, because certain players can deal with it and actually slow the game down. Some guys get a little bit more, they speed up, and that's not good for the mechanics, whether you're hitting or pitching.
1 ball, 1 strike on Shaw. That's strike 2. And that is strike 3. But Christian Yelich takes a 98-mile-an-hour fastball over the wall in right center. And the kid who grew up rooting for the Dodgers hurts the Dodgers in the first inning of Game 7. Welcome back to the NLCS, presented by the Google Assistant on FS1. This great crowd lets Manny Machado hear it as he digs in to lead off the second. Home run by Yelich, 1-0 Milwaukee. Ball 1.
Well, Manny Machado is having every other game type approach offensively. We know he wants to have a better game tonight.
Last night, Machado an 0 for 4 night as he was serenaded by the crowd with a couple of strikeouts. Left 3 runners on. The free agent to be. Fooled. 2-1.
And that's what I'm talking about, where the Dodgers have not been able to be themselves because a 2-0 fastball just doesn't usually come out of Chacin. So that's great pitching and not good discipline at the plate swinging at that breaking ball.
2-2. I mean, you've seen it from Machado. You've seen it from other hitters in the Dodger lineup, just up there looking to launch and acting like they're surprised to see a breaking ball from Chacin. 2-2 pitch. Just spoiled it. We talked to Dave Roberts about that very topic before the game, saying, you know, Chacin's going to throw you breaking ball after breaking ball. You got to go up there looking for it. He said we can only tell them so many times when they get into the box. It seems like the studying and the approach goes out the window.
Yeah, that's where nerves comes in a little bit. Not passing on the baton to your next guy. Trusting the next guy will do it when you take your walk.
Brewers did that last night early.
I mean, honestly, having pitched 14, 15 years in the postseason, that's what I fed off. I fed off everyone else's aggressiveness. If I felt that the team that I was playing or the player that was at the plate was aggressive, I wasn't going to throw him strikes. And chances are he was going to swing. And that's where you're trying to test. You have your game plan, but if you see a guy expand, no need to throw a strike, especially right here.
Inside for a full count.
See, this would be an automatic. If I'm guessing as a hitter, I'm saying he has to throw me a slider. I know most hitters never want to come off a fastball and foul off or look for a hanging slider to do damage with.
A bunt to third. This time Machado's hustling and he's on to start the inning.
You know what I think that was? I think that if he and the word might have been given to the players, if he quick pitches you, that might be the best approach. So he quick pitched and then he laid the bunt down and got rewarded. Here's what I'm talking about. He's in there getting ready to hit, and then he didn't wait as long as he normally does on the mound and quick pitched him.
So a bunt base hit. The batter is Bellinger. The question that is going to loom and hang over these first 3 or 4 innings. And I know people have heard us talk about Josh Hader all series long, but the question will be for Milwaukee and Craig Counsell, when does he get up? Counsell telling us before the game the way he's thinking, Hader's the first guy in as Machado draws a throw, and he said, Counsell, I'm going to have to do my best to show patience early and not pull that trigger too soon.
Right. He said the best formula would be for his starter to give him 5 innings, of course. And the pressure is going to mount if the Dodgers create runners on base, especially in the middle part of the innings. Because what it's going to do is it's going to prey on that patience of Craig Counsell. When you have a weapon and let's just say the lineup works in the highest leverage situation, that's when Josh Hader is going to be more tempted to want to get him up and get him in.
Machado with a bunt base hit to start the inning. And the count goes to 2-1 on Cody Bellinger.
The way I'm figuring it, the only way he gets in early before the 5th inning is if you're afraid the game's going to get away from you. That's when he pitches to keep the game either in a 1-run deficit, or if it's a 1-run lead, I don't think there's a reason for him to be pitching before the 5th. But that's the beauty of this chess match, and every guy that goes down to that pen has altered their ability to be ready earlier than they normally would.
Bellinger with a count in his favor, 2-1. 2-2. Cody, 4 hits in this LCS. Does not have a home run this postseason. Hit 25 during the regular year. Hit 39 as a rookie in 2017. Left side of the infield wide open. But the count now 2-2. You've got Arcia. I would say shaded up the middle a bit from his shortstop spot. And Moustakas on the other side of the bag, but a 2-2 count. Chassin. That is hammered into right. And a no-doubt home run off the bat of Bellinger to put the Dodgers on top. Cody Bellinger connects for the first time this postseason. A bunt and a blast, and the Dodgers lead by 1.
I thought the Dodgers yesterday on Freese's home run went crazy in the dugout. They're obviously happy now, but not as much energy, realizing the importance of this game and how much has to be played out. So incredible at bat for Bellinger, and he got the 1 pitch he wanted and an early lead.
Now Puig, still nobody out, and a ball sinks down and in. If you caught the report by Ken Rosenthal with regard to the Brewers bullpen, the big arms by Craig Counsell could be spent by the time you get into the 8th or 9th. And he told us before the game somebody like Brandon Woodruff or Joakim Soria could end up pitching in the last couple of innings. Here's a 2-0 to Puig, taking. It's 2-1. Over the previous 3 starts for Chassin, he had gone 16 innings, allowed 1 run on 7 hits, and gone 2-0. Puig shoots one down the right field line, and now he will run. Digging for 2. Yelich gets to it. Puig is going to hold with a double. Let's go back to the home run by Bellinger.
That one was absolutely crushed. Middle to middle away, but not exactly where Chassin would have liked it. And I would think now that the initial reports here on their starter, I would think the bullpen has got to get going.
And Puig just guided this one between Aguilar, the first baseman, in the bag. And then the only question was, would Puig push it for a triple or an attempt at a triple, or be content with a double? And he was content with a double. Batter now is Chris Taylor.
And again, because the part of the order for the Dodgers.
Left side, Taylor does not advance the runner. 1 away.
And I was just getting ready to say, Taylor would certainly like to drive him in, but if he drives him in, think right center. That wasn't the case.
For the most part, small ball is dead.
It has been in this series, although the execution of the Brewers taking advantage of the lack of execution of the Dodgers has been very apparent.
Number 8 hitter is Austin Barnes with a runner at second, 1 out. And there's Craig Counsell on the phone, and there is action, and it is Hader getting up here in the 2nd. Barnes grounds foul.
And that was the part I was talking about. If you feel like the game might get away from you, you bring in your asset to shut that down. I think they're going to temper, or at least call, and make sure he doesn't get so super hot early, start wasting bullets.
Well, yeah, you've got the number 8 hitter up now, then the pitcher. But Hader's trying to get loose in a hurry here. Runner at second, one out. Good pitch, strike two.
I mean, this basically is for Jock Peterson and Muncy at the top of the order. So it would have to be a 3-1 score for that to happen, more than likely.
By the way, that's why Dave Roberts put those two left-handed batters at the top of his lineup, trying to force the hand of Craig Counsell to make him go to Hader earlier in the game than he would ordinarily wish for. 0-2 the count. Puig at second, and Barnes pops it up. Shallow center for Kane. 2 down. The NLCS on FS1 is presented by the Google Assistant, an easier way to get things done with just your voice. And it's sponsored by eBay. If it's happening on game day, it's happening on eBay. And by Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Milwaukee Bucks opened their season last night. Game 6 here last night. This town was buzzing and has continued to buzz leading into this game 7. Now Buehler with Hader still throwing 98 down in the bullpen. 2 out. Ball 1. There's an art, and who am I telling? I'm telling you, but there's an art to getting loose, getting warm, and reading the situation. You've got to figure that if you're the Brewers, Chacin should be able to handle Walker Buehler.
Yeah.
There's 2 out in the inning, and you know that conversation's going on in the dugout as Buehler pops it up, and that should end the inning. And does. A bunt base hit by Machado on a 3-2 pitch put him on. Cody Bellinger trotted him home with a 2-run shot, and after 1.5 in game 7, 2-1 Dodgers. every postseason moment with At Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. It's the only place to get it all. Live radio feeds, video highlights, pitch tracking, StatCast, and much more. Download At Bat today. Cody Bellinger unloaded in his At Bat in the top of this second. It's 2-1. Dodgers lead, and Jesus Aguilar takes a 96-mile-an-hour fastball a bit up and in for ball one. Aguilar had a big night last night. A single, a pair of doubles. He takes ball two. Scored 2 runs, drove home 3. And all of that action was to right, going the other way. Here's a 2-0 pitch from Buehler. 2-1. Ken Rosenthal.
Well, Jesus has a classic mother knows best story, Joe. His mother, Maria Barreto, texted him from Venezuela at 1 p.m. yesterday. She said, "They're throwing you everything away. Look middle away." Those are her exact words, the implication being, go to the opposite field. Jesus did not respond immediately, but he took his mother's advice to heart. As you said, all 3 hits last night to the opposite field. After the game, he texted her and said simply, it worked.
She could have sent it on a group text. Here's a 2-2 from Buehler. Check swing and a full count. Mom also could have been checking out StatCast, powered by Amazon Web Services. And why does she tell her son to go the other way? He's got a high slugging percentage when he does just that. Here's a 3-2 pitch from Buehler. Struck him out, and Aguilar chased.
I'm telling you, games like this is what I'm talking about. This could be a game as simple as the 3-2 count. Because the 3-2 count is supposed to be neutral, but I argue in this situation it's advantage to the pitcher because the hitters want to make something happen. 3-2 count, bunt base hit last inning, and a home run. We'll just see how it plays out on the nerves of every hitter when they get to what is considered a neutral count, 3-2.
Moustakas digs his way in and takes high for ball one. Moustakas ripped a double into right center last night to score Aguilar, and then on the first pitch to Kratz, he went the other way and lined a single into right to score Moustakas. Here's a 1-0, 2-0.
Not the way you want to come out and start for Buehler, even though he came back and got the strikeout. When you get the lead, you want to command the strike zone and make it easier to get some quicker outs than having to work your way back behind in the count.
Here's a 2-0 pitch. The count 2-1. Realize this, so while this is happening on the field out beyond the left field wall, Josh Hader is getting loose. Clayton Kershaw is jogging to start his process, but Hader's up for the second time while his team bats. Moustakas hits one into right, and he is on with 1 down. He won't test Puig. It's a 1-out single. And that would lead you to believe that with the top of the order coming up in the 3rd, we may see Hader that early here in Game 7.
Well, and that tells me that Greg Counsell wants to keep the game exactly right here, hoping his team would tie it up or possibly take the lead before he goes to Hader. I mean, it's conceivable that it works out great and that his pitcher has to hit, and he pinch hits for him in this inning.
Here's Kratz now. He's had a terrific postseason. 7 for 21. Foul tip at 99 from Buehler, and we talked about this when Walker made that start in Game 3. He didn't throw this hard when he was at Vanderbilt. Highly decorated pitcher, had his number retired from his high school, Henry Clay High School. So he was a strikeout guy, but he was low to maybe mid-90s. Now he's upper 90s after Tommy John surgery as Kratz skies one into left. Back on the track, and now in front of it is Peterson. 2 out, and Kratz just missed blasting that thing out of here. It'll bring in Arcia. The home plate umpire is Greg Gibson. With the rotation, Alan Porter is at first base. Jerry Davis is at second base, the crew chief. Hunter Wendelstedt over at third. Down the left field line is Jim Wolf. In right field is Brian Gorman, and Scott Berry worked on the field the first 2 games of this LCS. He's been in New York ever since.
Well, this is a huge at bat, because if he makes an out, Craig Counsell is more likely to have to double switch. He doesn't have to double switch with the last out, but if you think about bringing in Hader, unless you're fully prepared to let him hit and waste an at bat, that's why this at bat is so important for the Brewers.
Well, Arcia has provided some punch out of this number 8 spot. Blocked by Barnes, and Arcia actually took Buehler out at Dodger Stadium with a home run to right on a pitch that was up and away, showing just how strong he is. You see the numbers this postseason. At bottom line, he's got 6 hits. 2 of them have left the park against LA. You saw Jonathan Scope on deck. 1-1. Strike 2.
The reason Dave Roberts hopes that Hader comes in this early, he won't pinch hit. He's just going to leave his left-handers in, I believe, because he knows those left-handed hitters are going to be vital for the right-handed guys that they have remaining for the Brewers. So in an ideal situation, if you asked, when we did ask Dave Roberts, he was hopeful that if Hader came in, it was going to be very early in the game.
That could happen. 1-2. Good job by Arcia to spoil a tough pitch. It also just eliminates kind of that intrigue of when Hader would come into the ball game. You get him into the game in the 3rd inning.
Yeah, again, I'm kind of learning on the fly here to what you think might happen,
and then what actually does.
Yeah.
2-2.
Well, the bottom line is you can't argue with what both teams have been able to do. You can make a case that this series could be over for either team. The Brewers could have already won it, or the Dodgers could have already won it based on the way they had opportunities slip away from them. So that's why we're here for the great Game 7.
Here comes a 2-2 to Arcia, and a pitch that misses outside, a full count. That means Moustakas will get a head start at first with 2 out.
And I also think it's another crucial 3-2 pitch, especially with what Craig Counsell would like to see as a Walker base hit to get his pinch hitter to the plate.
Just in case Moustakas was going to leave early. The 24-year-old rookie right-hander is ready. His 3-2. Left side, base hit. And that will bring Scope to the plate, and Arcia has been terrific in the number 8 spot. That's a big hit.
He has. I would really have thought this was going to be an off-speed pitch on the 3-2 aggressive hitter, but he went with the fastball, and of course it stayed in the yard. So ultimately the Brewers get what they want, and that's a pinch hitter in Scope with power at the plate. And Craig Counsell gets what he wants, because now he doesn't have to think about double switching.
Well, there's a lot going on here as Chacin is lifted after 2 innings. You see what he did the previous 3 starts. And he stranded Puig after that double into right in the top of this inning. So Hader will come in. And for me, this just simply, John, comes down to Buehler against Scope. See who wins this little mini battle. And I think if you were to go down right now and get an honest answer from Dave Roberts about Josh Hader coming into this game in the 3rd inning, I don't think he minds that one bit. I think I think he'll be happy about that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the third inning. It's like, even if Scope hits a 3-run homer, it's the third inning, and you know he's limited to how many innings he could possibly pitch.
Chacin's been so good, but he's finished after 2, and now it comes down to Scope and Buehler with 2 on, 2 out. Strike 1. This is fascinating stuff here in the early innings in Game 7. Chacin 2 innings, 2 runs, 3 hits, a walk, no strikeouts, a home run. Scope with his team down 1. Strike 2. Jonathan picked up from the Orioles. Hit a big grand slam in a game against the Giants, but so far this postseason 0 for 7. And with runners in scoring position this series, the Brewers have left 47 on and hit under 200.
So they elevate a fastball upstairs with 2 strikes.
Scope could deliver a huge hit here in the second. They do elevate at 99 for ball 1. A home run by Yelich in the first, singles by Moustakas and Arcia here in the second. But the Brewers need more.
See, and that's the moment right there. See, those 2 pitches had no value whatsoever. And yes, they were thrown hard, but they lost the effect. And now Scope has gotten the count back into a more manageable situation at 2-2.
Chopped left side. Turner gets the out. And the Brewers are diving into that great bullpen into the third. 2-1 LA.
you're out.
Number 71, a nasty lefty. Well, here he is, Josh Hader, third inning, 2-1 Dodgers on the strength of the Bellinger home run. And not only is Hader in the game on the mound, but I think it's caught everybody with our crew by surprise that Jock Peterson is taken out of the game, and Dave Roberts goes to Kike Hernandez, who's 0 for 10 in this series, and he's lost Jock Peterson's bat for the rest of the night. First pitch is strike, and now another.
Yeah, when I think maybe Dave Roberts may not like the approach, I don't know, of Jock Peterson's last couple of bats, but to me it's one at bat, right? And you wouldn't think Hader's going to be around for the second time around for Jock Peterson.
Pretty good rip there by Hernandez, who not only is hitless in this LCS, but in his 0 for 10, he has struck out 5 times, but that's a pretty big bat, a 25 home run guy in Jock Peterson that is out for the rest of Game 7 now. Here's the 0-2 from Hader. A strikeout starts this third. Before that hitter, the last 7 appearances for this left-hander, 9 innings, 15 strikeouts, and the Dodgers against Hader in this series have struck out 8 times in a 4 for 18 effort, 24 misses, 48 swings, and now you can add another strikeout to the pile.
Yeah, the other thing that we might have to consider is that Jock Peterson got hit pretty hard yesterday in the wrist. Maybe that has something to do with it. Who knows? But all I know is that if you're the Dodgers, you have to make him work as hard as possible, meaning fight to get his pitch count up, because if it's relatively low, you could see 3 innings out of Hader.
1 out. Muncy takes strike 2. Tom Bertucci chime in.
Well, I think Craig Counts and the Brewers have redefined what leverage is in the game. We're conditioned to high leverage being late innings. But guys, they're playing to go to the World Series. Hader's in the game to try to flip this game now, trailing by 1. And as a bonus, as you mentioned, he took a piece off the board from the Dodgers in Jock Peterson. I'm sure he was counting on that. That's a bonus.
Here's the 0-2. Down and away. Well, a big piece is spent by both sides here early. There's a lot of baseball left.
Yeah, and look, it's a credit to the Brewers and how many good arms they have left. It's not like there's a huge drop off once Hader leaves the game.
2 out.
But I can tell you this, from the Dodgers standpoint, they're breathing a little easier because the thought of when he could come in later in the game was so looming and large that now that's gone. So they just have to deal with the known, and the known is he's nasty. He's going to strike you out. Hope you hit a mistake.
And the Dodgers are leading.
Right. That's exactly right. That's the point, that you play the game with a little bit of urgency if you're the Dodgers. If you're not leading, knowing at any point past the 5th this guy could come in and shut you down.
Here's a ball down and in to Justin Turner, who bounced into a double play his first time up.
I am just blown away by this young man on the mound and how many strikes he throws, just with those kind of mechanics and the velocity and the way that he throws across his body.
That's ball 2.
I mean, it's not like he misses by a lot if he misses, and he puts a lot of heat, no pun intended, on the hitter, knowing that he could go out there and tell you, I'm throwing you a fastball. Good luck.
Pitch number 11. It's a 2-0. And that's hit in the air to left, sending Braun back, and a 1-2-3 start for Hader, who worked 3 full innings and 46 pitches back in Game 1. We're in Game 7. Dodgers lead by 1. Kike Hernandez stays in the game. He's at second. That moves Chris Taylor out to left. Doug Peterson finished for the night after one pitch. He grounded out in the first inning, then was lifted because Hader came into the ball game. Ball one upstairs to Lorenzo Cain. Top of the order for the Brewers, down by 1. 2-0.
Well, this is consecutive innings now where Buehler is starting the leadoff hitter 2-0, and the next hitter he got 2-0. Got to start pounding strikes.
There's a strike. He started Cain 2-0 his first time around, as Clayton Kershaw will keep an eye on the Dodgers left-hander in their bullpen tonight. Here's a 2-1 from Buehler. Right side, and Hernandez was moving the wrong way. And just into the game, he was jumping to his right, and that ball was hit to his left. Watch this.
Probably getting some late information, and that late information didn't help him out there.
See if the Brewers want to pressure Walker Buehler with Cain the runner at first. 0 for 1 this postseason, stealing bases, but stole 30 during the regular year. Not hard hit. A step and a throw and a double play, and there are few shortstops that have that arm. That ball hit the backside of the mound, stayed down, and Machado just made a tremendous play and threw one about 98 over to first.
98's probably right. Once he gets to that position and barely touches the bag, he throws a P to first base.
He just caught the edge of the bag and then fired a rocket and just got his foot on it. The Brewers are looking at it to see if they want to challenge, and they do not want to challenge. 2 out. The batter will be Ryan Braun. So Yelich, who homered his first time, with contact there that leads to the double play. Here's Braun, who bounced out to third in the first. Strike 1.
Well, he definitely likes his fastball tonight, because going through the lineup the first time in about a third, we haven't seen the curveball much. So whether it's adjusting from the second game he's facing the same team in the series and kind of banking that curveball later, he likes his fastball, and it's coming out of his hands certainly crisp.
The way this series is played out, if you're a starter, don't save anything for later. That's upstairs. Here's the list that Walker Buehler is on now because of his youth. The young Fernando in '81 at the age of 20 beat the Expos in the NLCS. Johnny Padres at 23 beat the Yankees in the '55 series game 7. As far as youngest pitchers to start a winner-take-all game, here's the 24-year-old with a 2-2 count on Ryan Braun.
Once again, those 2 pitches speak a little bit to not non-competitive pitches once you got 2 strikes on the hitter. One was way too high, and one never had a chance to entice the hitter.
Here's a 2-2. Struck him out on a fastball down and in at 99. 4th inning, game 7. Dodgers lead by 1. Tonight's aerial coverage for Game 7 is brought to you by State Farm. Fourth inning and Manny Machado first up. He led off and on a 3-2 pitch bunted for a base hit in the second. Then scored on the home run by Bellinger. First pitch from Hader is up and away, ball one. Here's one into center field, and Josh Hader is reached for a hit by Machado. He's 2 for 2. Yesterday, when Manny Machado was booed during his 0 for 4 game, he got back to the dugout and, after nodding, egged on the crowd to give him more. Today on a 3-2 pitch, he dropped down a bunt against Chassin for a hit. And now he singles into center off Hader, so 2 for 2. Bellinger with a big swing, strike one.
It's hard to hit off this guy. Can you imagine trying to bunt off of him? If you bunt off him, you might get a double down the line. And I think for left-handers, they got to try their best to try to pick a spot, as Bellinger did there. Hope it's there and let it go with the bat. Hoping to make contact.
When Hader pitched in Game 4 on Tuesday, Muncy and Bellinger both had hits off Josh. There's a little more to that. Here's the 0-1. He reaches out. Hader can't make the play. Out at second and no throw to first. And the crowd reacts as Machado has had a couple of grabs for Arcia when the series was out in LA when he was sliding into second base. This time he leaves Arcia alone. And no chance to turn 2 with the way Bellinger runs. The batter will be Puig. Just to finish on the lefties getting hits off Hader in Game 4. Hader had allowed 2 hits to left-handers in only one other game in his MLB career. It was last year. Gonzalez and Blackman from Colorado. Lefties just have a tough task hanging in there against this hard throwing lefty.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the year, Puig has really struggled against left-handers, but I think he's got the right approach to at least have some success off of Hader. He doesn't have a huge swing from the right side off of left-handers.
And Puig has seemed more willing to go the other way and up the middle in this series than I remember him in postseasons past.
Yeah, he just is much quieter at the plate. That's why it doesn't make sense to me about his splits, how bad they are. He prefers right-handers on the mound than left-handers, but there's times where he looks locked in. There's times where you don't know what to expect, and for the most part, right now, he looks comfortable at the plate.
That's Turner Ward, the hitting coach for Dave Roberts. Along the railing with Machado. Here's a 1-1. Left side might be 2. Moustakas starts it. Shaw in the middle, and a double play sends Game 7 into the bottom of the 4th inning. It'll be Shaw, Aguilar, Moustakas coming up. Josh Hader threw 2 scoreless in Game 7. Hey Google, how many World Series have the Dodgers won?
The Dodgers have won the World Series in 1988, 1981, 1965, and other years.
6 times. As Dave Roberts is hoping to get a chance to break a 30-year drought. Last time was 1988. In 5 games over the A's, 81, 65, 63, 59, 55. They finally got over the Yankees. Back in Brooklyn, 2 quick strikes on Travis Shaw.
Well, that's why the general consensus is there's pressure on both teams. You play a game 7. No one ever prepares their year to end on a loss. But for the Dodgers, there is a lot more pressure on them because of the expectation of what they were supposed to do.
Shaw hits one into right center. Back is Puig over his head. Shaw digs for second. He's got a double to start the 4th. Looked like Puig got there and then missed it.
Yeah, this ball was hit on a rope, and as he gets to that point, he mistimes it. And that ball just gets over him and kept carrying all the way to the wall. But for Buehler, the 2-strike pitch was not exactly where you wanted it, and his defense couldn't bail him out there. Good effort, but the ball was smoked.
You're wondering about exit velocity, 108 for Travis Shaw, who can just mash a baseball. Now Aguilar, hole on the right side of the infield, tying run at second, nobody out, and a strike from Buehler. Looked like Puig tried to time that out in right center field, and as you said, he just mistimed his leap, had a little stutter step out there in the gap and missed it altogether. That ball was crunched. Here's the 0-1. Blocked by Barnes.
Well, right field here is a little unique. It's a little shorter right behind Puig, and then as it jets out, it kind of takes an angle, and that angle was what he was trying to do to try to chase down Yelich's first home run. There's the little change in the dimensions there, and in that one he had to do the same thing but just couldn't time it.
Runner at second, nobody out. 98 from Buehler and strike 2 on Aguilar. The good news for the Brewers is they bring Hader in the 3rd inning. He's worked 2 scoreless innings, just got a double play ball. He's only thrown 18 pitches. That's big. 3 innings in game 1, but 46 pitches. A strikeout is big for Buehler.
Yeah, that is a big pitch right there for Buehler, and I thought it was going to be impossible for Hader not to pitch 3 innings. So that's exactly what it looks like, unless the lineup here forces Counsell to try to pinch hit if he comes up, which is in about four times from here. 4th batter.
Now that the number 6 man, Moustakas, is at the plate. Then Kratz. Aguilar not able to advance the runner. Shaw. Moustakas hits one foul right side, strike 1. Moustakas with a hit in the 2nd. Brewers put 2 on with 2 out. Pinch hit for Chacin. And Scope grounded out. Strike 2 as the Brewers try to get back to at least level in this game while Hader is in there.
Now, this series has been a series of spurts for both teams, and what I mean by that, we've seen several instances where the man on second either got there leading off and didn't move, and then there's times where the Dodgers found a way to cut down their swing, got some base hits, won a game without an extra base hit, and of course the Brewers yesterday in the 1st inning.
Eustakis a little out in front of that one, and Taylor has out number 2.
But the bottom line is what works in the regular season and feels good, and you can take chances, and all the numbers average out over 162. It doesn't play that way in a specialized series, in a 7-game series. That's why the little things usually come up huge if you don't execute. And that's exactly what the Boston Red Sox did. That's why they're sitting, waiting for this team, one team, to come here a winner.
It seemed like the Red Sox, with the year they put together, with their 108 wins, they've been the one team that's been able to carry that over into postseason and do the same things that got them there. Kratz is jammed. He didn't go on ball 1 inside as he checked his swing.
Yeah, offensively, exactly. And they may have done some things differently, and Mr. Cora was creative in some of his choices of pitchers, and it worked. But offensively, they just, from 1 through 9, have this unbelievable approach with 2 strikes, 2 outs, runners in scoring position. And this series has not followed kind of the trends that we thought might. And that's why we're here in Game 7.
2-1 game. Dodgers on top. 1-0 pitch. Good breaking ball has Kratz frozen.
And now we're seeing that pitch come into play here. First pitch, fastballs early in the count. Got through the lineup, gave up the 1 home run, and I think you'll see more and more of these kind of power breaking balls if Buehler stays in the game and has the success for Dave Roberts.
These moments have not been too big for Eric Kratz, the 38-year-old, as he's now in the hole 1-2. Got to the big leagues at the age of 30. He's bounced around in his career. A valuable guy in the clubhouse, and he's gone from that to a valuable guy in the lineup for Craig Counsell. Trying to rescue this inning and make something of that leadoff double by Shaw. Good pitch there, and Kratz lays off. 2-2. On deck is Arcia.
Buehler can cut it. There was that cutter right there at 93, and sometimes it'll even reach 95. His ability to manipulate the baseball speaks well for himself, and certainly recovering from Tommy John, you've seen the uptick in velocity, and the stuff just to A level.
Kratz trying to tie it with a hit. Buehler got it. How about the 24-year-old rookie? 6 strikeouts and a leadoff double by Travis Shaw. He didn't budge after that. Kid's pumped up. Kratz's friends are not. Neither's this big crowd to this point. A lot of baseball left. 2-1 Dodgers. World Series begins Tuesday on Fox. The Red Sox are in. Who will take on Boston? The winner of tonight's game. Game 1 of the Fall Classic, Tuesday, 7:30 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Hader, third inning of work. This is up and away at 93 to Chris Taylor, the number 7 hitter, with Barnes and then the pitcher Buehler to follow. So far, so good. That's only pitch number 19.
I actually think there's an outside chance he throws 4 innings.
I agree with you.
Even though he's coming up to the plate next inning.
1-1 on Taylor, who grounded out his first time up.
And that's the pressure decision. Like, let's just say this was a starter and you were down 2-1. Those are the decision managers in game 7s. 4th inning, do we pinch hit? 5th inning, you start approaching the 5th, you got to make an educated guess on what you have off the bench and what your chances of scoring actually are.
That's just off the inside corner, 2-1. Even if the Dodgers don't score in this inning or don't mount much, you know their intention is to make Hader work and throw pitches. If they can do it. Here's a 2-1 pitch from Hader. Inside, 3-1.
That's the only pitch I didn't like right there, because you're going 2-1 inside. Your room for error is not very good. And he's been proven that he can throw the ball down the middle and they don't hit anything. And so now he's got the count 3-1.
A leadoff walk. That's the second base runner against Hader since he took over in the 3rd in the first walk. The NLCS on FS1 is presented by the Google Assistant, an easier way to get things done with just your voice, and is sponsored by eBay. If it's happening on game day, it's happening on eBay, and by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Chilly night outside. 36 degrees. Here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Here's Barnes. Another one misses from Hader, and that sends Kratz out to the mound.
Well, that's going to have to get the bullpen going for Milwaukee, because this is the byproduct, you know, of being able to go to your greatest weapon, and Jeffress is going to be loosening up, and you know, this has carryover effect.
We got a chance to visit with Jeremy Jeffress before the game and spend about 2 minutes with Jeremy, and you just understand what this guy's all about. He is loving every minute of this. He's been through a lot, personally, professionally. It's his 3rd time around with Milwaukee, and it has finally all clicked. He's having the time of his life. A leadoff walk, now a 1-0 pitch to Barnes. 95 for strike 1. That's strike 2.
I just think every time we see shots of the managers in these situations, I can only remember the years sitting next to Bobby a lot, just to hear what his thought process would, you know, and decisions he would have to make. I don't think I could sit down there today. There'd be a million of them.
Talking about Bobby Cox, your manager, through all that success in Atlanta. Here's a check on Taylor, who has to dive back in, and so now the pressure's on Dave Roberts and Craig Counsell. You think Craig Counsell's not feeling any pressure with all that he's got on his plate? He's a smart guy. He's in his 4th year. Grew up a Brewers fan. Was in St. Louis when they lost Game 7 of the World Series as a 12-year-old kid with his dad. Here he is managing, and he sees a strikeout of Austin Barnes. One out in the inning, and the batter will be Buehler.
Well, for Buehler now, he's definitely going to be bunting, and you got to get your eyes behind the bat when you're facing a guy like this, because his velocity will make you actually bunt the ball in the air if you're not mechanically correct and sound, and being able to bunt this ball between first base and the pitcher's mound.
Good speed on at first with Taylor. Buehler to bunt. Deadens it. Can't do it any better. Down to second is Taylor, 2 out.
That was textbook, and he knows it as a pitcher. If you can't help yourself in the field, fielding a position, you certainly can help yourself at the plate, as limited as you are, by being able to get bunts down, and that was a big one.
Let's go. Puts a runner in scoring position for Kike Hernandez.
See how he kept his head still, and at this point he's like, stay fair, stay fair, stay fair, stay fair.
And hustled down the line, out by a step. Not a real easy throw for Kratz, who had to lob it over Walker Buehler. Here is the second visit of the inning.
A game like tonight, this is when it gets harder to not use your 6 visits, and like you really have to make them count, because there's so many big moments that you want to make sure you are on the right page of. And
well, he only gets 6. We've seen 2 in this inning. Official caps, t-shirts, hoodies, jerseys, jackets, and more. Find all the gear you need all postseason long at MLBshop.com. Kike Hernandez pinch hit for Jock Peterson in the 3rd, struck out. He's 0 for 11 in this NLCS.
that was a meeting of left-hander on deck. Be careful, first pitch to the right-handed hitter.
On the outside corner, strike 1. Hader's spot is due up in the bottom of this 5th. Pitch number 30. Strike 2. Massive swings by Kike Hernandez in this series, and the Brewers have taken advantage of that.
Got to be much shorter with your stroke against a guy like him. Some guys just aren't capable, and some guys don't adjust to that with their style of hitting.
Runner at second, 2 out. And the 0-2. Struck him out. Inning over. Hader gets around that leadoff walk halfway through game number 7. 2-1 Dodgers. Hey Google, do you play baseball?
I love baseball, but unless they reinvent the rules in a big way, I'll just have to watch.
Well, the rules, both written and unwritten, seem to be evolving as time goes forward. Here's Walker Buehler missing outside to Orlando Arcia, and we're underway in the bottom of the 5th, 2-1 game.
Well, is he a decoy on deck or not?
Hader's out there. That's ball 2, 2-0. There is action for the Brewers out in their bullpen with Xavier Cedeno. Another 2-0 count to a leadoff hitter and a chop to third. 1 out. Hader is called back. Santana is coming up. And Hader is finished after 3. Allowed 1 hit, struck out 4, walked 1.
Yeah, he's a little off his game tonight.
I mean, it's just not that easy, and yet you expect every time this guy goes out there to put up a 0. He's made Major League Baseball look easy at times, and he's done it this postseason.
Yeah, and you can see why over 162 games they would approach it the way they have, as the Brewers would love to see that formula play out every other, third day and take care of them. Well, here in a 7-game series, he has become the most feared person on this field, and he did his job.
Here comes Rick Honeycutt with Santana coming up.
Buehler. Anyone?
I'm here.
Oh, he's here. And he has been really good through 4 1/3. A run on the home run by Yelich, 5 hits. Domingo Santana is his next opponent.
Well, even when he got behind some hitters, he's got the stuff to get it back in the zone, and you saw there another 2-0 count. I'll tell you what. Puig wasn't ready. He was over in the right field corner.
I saw the same thing. During the pitching coach visit from Rick Honeycutt, Puig was over in the right field corner, and he was just jogging back into position when Buehler threw that first pitch. Santana takes high. A ball and a strike at 98. But he's ready now. Domingo Santana, 30 home runs a year ago, fouls it away. He's got major pop in his bat, and he's been good off the bench during the regular season and in the postseason. In the hole here now, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
We asked guys what it's like coming off the bench facing velocity. Even though you see a lot of velocity, it's not a lot of fun. Come in and face 98 off the bench.
Two and two.
Good pitch right there. See if he follows it up with a curveball. You got him flinching a little bit, just above the top of the zone with a fastball.
Time called. Two. Got him with a breaking ball. Strikeout number 7 in this 7-game NLCS. Here are the records that have fallen. The total strikeouts up to 146. The pitchers used. The Dodgers as a team have struck out 74 times. That's the most ever in a postseason series. 2 out, nobody on. Back to the top of the order, Lorenzo Cain, as Ryan Madsen and Julio Urias are getting loose with the presence of Christian Yelich on deck.
This is the tough spot of managing. You got a pitcher that wants to be out there and has given you a reason to not take him out, but you almost get the feeling that if he gives up a hit here, he's coming out. They've got him loose in the bullpen.
Breaking ball is hit into left. Extra bases for Kane. He's got a 2-out double. And now the decision.
It does open up a base and gives them an option to walk Yelich if they want to and pitch to Braun. But this is going to be a tough trip right here, and Buehler's not going to be happy.
So with the likely NL MVP coming up, who has homered tonight because of this double, Walker Buehler, who said on that taped piece, "I'm here," won't be when we come back from break. Here comes Urias, the 22-year-old left-hander, in a 2-1 game. '73 pitches for Walker Buehler. He was great tonight, but that 2-out double by Lorenzo Cain chases him. And here is Julio Urias, who worked last night. Went 1 inning with 2 strikeouts. He got the win in Game 4 in the 13-inning affair, and he is into the fire here in the 5th with Yelich coming up. Cain can fly. He's at second, 2 out. Strike 1. Not on the division series roster. Urias taking on Christian Yelich. Last night, 6 of the Brewers' 7 runs scored with 2 out. Brewers scored 42% of their runs this season with 2 out. An MLB high. First time Urias has ever worked in the big leagues on consecutive days. Yelich, strike 2.
He's got an incredible young arm, and we already spoke about his heartbeat. Fastball top of the zone, 95 miles an hour, to the MVP of the league. So far, he's up to the challenge.
Tying run at second with 2 out. In the air to left, into the gap. It is caught! Taylor with a run-saving catch, and who knows how much more. Got a great jump, ran a mile, and used every inch of that leather. What a play. 2-1 after 5. What a moment. In the bottom of the 5th inning is Chris Taylor, who started this game at second base, went to left when the Dodgers pinch hit for Jock Peterson, robs Christian Yelich of an extra base hit and a game-tying RBI. We'll show you replays of it as Xavier Cedeno comes into the game and misses with ball 1 to Max Muncy.
That's a wow. That's a 5-star catch with everything on the line in this 7th game. Oh.
Taylor made 18 starts in left field during the regular season as Muncy guides one through the left side. And he's on to start the 6th inning with the Dodgers still up 2-1 because of this.
Yeah, and as you were talking in the break, Peterson's got the glove on his other hand, a much more difficult catch when you think about who was out there to start the game.
Our StatCast is powered by Amazon Web Services, 85 feet, and it's just crazy how this game works out. But Taylor moved to left, as you said, because Peterson was pinch hit for. And that was all about offense.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with defense. And the guy who started the game at second base ends up in left and makes a run-saving catch. Xavier Cedeno's coming out after the hit by Muncy. Here comes Jeffress with Turner coming up here in the 6th. Tonight's aerial coverage is brought to you by State Farm. Down below is Miller Park, 18th year as the home of the Brewers. This game 7 has seen a lot in what is just a 2-1 game. 6th inning, runner at first, nobody out, and Turner lines one into left. The first 2 are on for the Dodgers here in the 6th.
So this is the issue with the patience in the long series and seeing relievers over and over and over again. And the Dodgers can make that become their strength because they haven't had to go to the well as much as Milwaukee had. You can only imagine some of these guys, the amount of games that they've pitched. Yes, adrenaline gets you through game 7. Yes, you're prepared. It's not an excuse, but it's just the route they've had to get used to get here.
Jeffress now deals with Machado. First pitch swinging Muncy, a base hit. First pitch swinging Turner, a base hit. After the first pitch is Machado, who's 2 for 2, and he fouls it back. Jeffress, an all-star this year, had a rare 3-day respite during this LCS. An ERA over 5 this postseason. Regular season, he was great. 0-1. Jammed him and popped him up. Shallow right. Yelich is there. 1 away and a big out. And now Cody Bellinger, whose 2-run home run in the 2nd. Put the Dodgers on top 2-1. It's still that way here in the 6th.
Much different pitcher now for Cody Bellinger. Velocity at the top of the zone if he wants it. Gives him trouble. He didn't have to worry about the top of the zone against Chacin, and he had a great approach, waiting for a pitch and not missing it.
Bellinger might be 2. The flip, the throw to first, not in time. As Bellinger really gets down the line well, and it's 1st and 3rd, 2 out.
Well, he knew as soon as he hit it, he's got to get to first base, and covers a lot of ground and gets there fast. And now it's up to Puig to get a 2-out RBI after what looked like it could be a messy inning for the Brewers. Jeffress has come in and done a nice job so far.
You got Machado on that pop-up to right. Bellinger bounces into the force out. Here's Puig, 1 for 2. A double into right his first time up, and a big hole on the right side of the infield. .95 from Jeffress, strike 1.
This game's had the feel. It does usually game 7s, but this really, every time Milwaukee plays, it has a feeling like each guy is pitching their 9th inning. Feels like a 9th inning. We're only in the 5th or top of the 6th.
All 5 hitters have swung at the first pitch in this 6th. Runner goes, no throw down, and Bellinger will end up walking into second base with 2 out. For Bellinger, that is stolen base number 2 of this series, 3 of the postseason. Into left center field. This ball is in the gap and over the wall for a 3-run home run. Yasiel Puig has just made it 5-1 here in the 6th. Bellinger beat out that double play ball, gave the at-bat to Puig, and Yasiel Puig dumps one over the wall in left center.
Well, we talked about it yesterday, the show he put on in BP. He didn't have any kind of game to represent that yesterday. But today, his strength on an off-speed pitch. Wow.
Taylor, who just made that catch a moment ago in the bottom of the fifth to save a run, takes a ball. And for Puig, he's eccentric. He can do some crazy stuff at times, but he can also show you that incredible power packed into that Dodger uniform. And he has just given LA a 4-run cushion with a 3-run shot.
I mean, that's a slider, a breaking ball, and then tremendous power. This ball just keeps going. Looked like it was going to be in the gap off the wall. Hits the top of the wall, and then, of course, over.
Crowd tries to get behind Jeffress. A lot of baseball to be played as the count goes to 3-0 now on Taylor. The Dodgers with 2 home runs in this game. After a franchise record 235 during the regular season. And a walk on 4 straight to put Taylor on for the 2nd time in this game. Cedeno started the inning, and one of the runs is charged to him. 2 to Jeffress, and a stunned packed house here at Miller Park. Batter will be Austin Barnes. Big swing by Barnes, strike 1.
Well, in game 6, they got the unexpected rare victory without Hader pitching, which was a huge bonus, and you knew they were lined up well. And again, he did his job, had to come in 3rd, and when you come in 3rd, you backload everybody else having to come up and do their job with a lot of stress and with a ton of appearances, as we documented, all-time record amount of moves.
Ryan Madsen is getting loose after Urias got the final out in the 5th by getting Yelich with a big assist from Chris Taylor in left. That's strike 3, and Barnes is gone. But it was the catch in the bottom of the 5th by Taylor to keep the lead. And then the swing by Yasiel Puig to add to that lead. And the first 3-run shot of this NLCS has the Dodgers up 5-1 in the 6th. Yasiel Puig with a 3-run shot with 2 out in the top of this 6th inning makes it 5-1. LA on top. Heart of the order here for Milwaukee as they try to jump right back in it. Ryan Madson is the 3rd pitcher of the game for Los Angeles. Buehler, Urias for 1 out, and it was some kind of out on the catch by Taylor and left. And now Madson, an in-season pickup from the Nationals. And the 38-year-old has been very good this postseason.
Yes, he has. His fastball reaches 97. Signature pitch is a changeup. Breaking ball to go with it.
That's down. A ball and a strike. Braun is 0 for 2. Shaw will follow. He has a double tonight, and then Aguilar.
Well, the Brewers know that they have rallied in plenty of games this year, and it's going to have to start with everybody taking their turn and passing the baton on, scratching every at bat out.
That's ball 2, 2-1. Madson has been a late inning reliever and one of those rare guys. He's big and he can get it up there in a hurry. 97 miles per hour in that neighborhood, but he has got a devastating changeup. And he misses outside. 3-1. And that gets the bullpen active for Dave Roberts as they're moving around out there now and somebody's getting up. It's Alex Wood for the 2nd time, the left-hander. Here's a 3-1. Full count.
Well, the hardest part of relievers of coming in a game is telling yourself you want to get outs, but no free passes. You got to try to, if you give up hits, you give up hits. When you have a lead, there's something way worse by giving a leadoff walk than a leadoff hit.
Here's a 3-2 from Madson. In the air to center, and this ball is caught. Nice jump by Bellinger. As Braun tried to flare one into center. Our Budweiser game summary to this point. 5-1 here in the 6th. Yelich with a home run, his first of this series, 2nd of the postseason. Bellinger, a 2-run shot in the 2nd. Put Walker Buehler and the Dodgers on top 2-1. Yasiel Puig just went deep. The 3-run shot. You see what the Dodgers, who led the National League in home runs, have done in this game compared to the previous 146 at bats. Here is Shaw. That's Taylor. 2 out. And the Brewers need something to jumpstart this crowd again and feel better about the look on that scoreboard. Here's Aguilar.
Yeah, the Dodgers really only have to cover 1 more inning, the 7th, and then you would think that the 8th and 9th will belong to Kenley Jansen. And that would be the formula I would think David Roberts would love to see, and that would keep Clayton Kershaw from pitching, and if they win the game, pitching game 1 of the World Series.
There's Kershaw. Hanging out in the back of the bullpen with 2 out. Aguilar takes a strike. 98 from a guy who had arm trouble and hung it up. Retired, was out of the game for 3 years. He's back and right in the heart of it for LA.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, unique delivery, long arm, ball gets on the hitter quick.
Aguilar, a big night last night. Looking for his first hit of game 7. Brewers with their first home game 7 in their franchise history. Aguilar didn't like that call. Our Indeed player resume. Last night in game 6, 3 for 4, 2 doubles, 3 RBIs, scored 2. Previous 8 postseason games, 5 for 29 with 2 RBIs. He strikes out, and a quick inning for Ryan Madson sends game 7 into inning number 7. The Dodgers up by 4. Welcome back to the NLCS, presented by the Google Assistant on FS1. Dodgers have had the majority of the fun so far. Here's Ryan Madson. As Dave Roberts liked the way he threw in the bottom of the 6th inning. So he lets him hit, leading it off in the 7th. The hitters will be Moustakas, Kratz, and Arcia. Only took him 11 pitches to get through the bottom of the 6th. Through Braun, Shaw, and a strikeout of Aguilar.
If you're Madson, there's really no reason to swing. You're up there hoping he throws some pitches, but you're really up there because you need to pitch the next inning.
Strike 2 from Jeffress. Would you be surprised to see him swing?
Yes.
Struck him out looking, and that's back-to-back strikeouts for Jeffress. 1 out in the top of the 7th.
There's times I've told the catcher, and I know he thought I was messing with him. I'm saying, I'm not going to swing, and I don't care if you call strikes, Mr. Umpire. Get me out. I don't want to hit. And they look at you, and first pitch slider. I said, I'm not going to swing. It took a couple pitches before they realized that I wasn't joking with him.
It's Kike Hernandez. He came into the game way back in the 3rd when Hader took over to bat for Jock Peterson. And again, what that did was move Chris Taylor from second base out to left in this versatile roster for Dave Roberts. He has shown all of it through these 7 games. And that's what sent Taylor out to left, who made that great play. How about that effort by Shaw? But the first hit of this NLCS for Kike Hernandez puts him on with 1 out. Well, as we welcome you inside our broadcast booth, I'm Joe Buck along with the Hall of Famer John Smoltz. And when we talked to Craig Counsell, he said, I'm going to have to really use my patience. He went with his starter Chacin for 2 innings. He went to Hader, who was very good. But he's made this walk quite a few times this postseason.
Yeah, no matter what side of the fence you're on, this could be a very talked about series for a lot of reasons, and it's been very intriguing.
Knebel's coming out of the bullpen, so he's using all of his big weapons here, just trying to hang in the ball game as Jeffress gives up the infield hit. He's out with 1 out here in the 7th. It's a great slate of NFL action on Fox, highlighted by Cam Newton and the Panthers taking on Carson Wentz and the Eagles. Kirk Cousins and the Vikings battling the Jets. It's all on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Check local listings for the game in your area. There are the matchups. Talked about a couple of them. The Browns and the Bucks, the Lions and the Dolphins. Saints and Ravens later on in the afternoon. Here is Max Muncy facing the right-hander Knable, who was terrific last night. An inning and 2/3. Runner goes. Throw down by Kratz is in time to get him. Quick tag by Arcia. And Hernandez is cut down, 2 out.
Well, he had a huge jump. I don't know what happened other than a real good throw, because when he took off, it looks like he had this bag. Real good jump. This is just, I don't know how that happened, but he tags him up at the belt before he can get the foot down. So great play by Arcia and Kratz.
Clearly out. Great throw by Kratz, and Arcia just gathered the throw in and in one motion, like Javier Baez does with the Cubs, tagged the runner for the out. It took a perfect throw, and the Brewers got it. Breaking ball for a strike, and it's a 1-1 count on Muncy. In the bottom of the inning, it'll be Moustakas, Kratz, and Arcia. Muncy's been on base twice.
Well, the reason I said this will be the most talked about is there'll be so much discussion about, you know, the strategies employed and what the Brewers were able to do and how they got to this point, and ultimately in a Game 7. And you know, even on the other side with the Dodgers and their mix and match lineups and their pinch hitting early and all the different managerial moves that have taken place here in the series.
Muncy out in front, fooled on the pitch by Knable, 2-2. And we are now in the 7th game, and the Dodgers have scored a total of 6 runs against Craig Counsell's starters. But it comes with an asterisk because they've only worked 20 1/3 innings.
Yeah.
2-2 to Muncy, struck him out. And it's time to stretch. Middle of the 7th, Game 7. Brewers will bat down 4. The Dodgers lived and thrived because of the home run ball during the regular season. They've hit 2 in this game 7. A 2-run shot by Bellinger, 3-run home run by Puig, and a ball inside from Ryan Madson to start the 7th. Madson had a quick 6th inning. Moustakas 1 for 2 in this game, trying to jumpstart the offense. That's foul. While Madson's on the mound, Kenley Jansen, even though we're in the 7th inning, is up and has been throwing lightly in the bullpen. There's that changeup fouled back. Strike 2. Look at the bullpen comparison in this series and all the work the Brewers have had to do and more looks for the Dodger hitters.
Yeah, I just think that's too many, and they almost and still can pull this thing off. That's a lot of innings in a 7-game series. Now, granted, you know, I'll grant you that 5 or 6 of those innings were virtually done by a starter. Woodruff, you could technically say, was the starter, even though Miley pitched to 1 hitter.
Another 1-2. Moustakas strikes out. And that's 4 in a row retired by Madson. The batter will be Eric Kratz. How do you leave this postseason? However long Eric Kratz and the Brewers are playing the rest of this October, whether it ends tonight or goes into the World Series, and not walk out of here totally impressed by this guy. Hits a 3 or 4 hopper to Machado, 2 out. His stock has gone up as a 38-year-old catcher. There are a lot of teams that would like to have an Eric Kratz available. He's a smart receiver and a guy who handles a pitching staff really well.
Yeah, and serves a really valuable place in a club. And even though today, you know, age is more of a topic than it ever was as far as how old you are.
Arcia now takes the ball. Orlando 1 for 2, got a key hit at the time back in the 2nd to clear this pitcher spot. Got Jonathan Scope to the plate, but he chopped out against the starter Walker Buehler, who at the age of 24 was really impressive here tonight. He really got into only 1 jam, if you want to call it that. The 2-out double by Kane. He wasn't allowed to finish the inning, but you got to be awfully pleased with the way he handled the pressure of a game 7 tonight.
Yeah, I certainly did. And you know, he would have loved to stay out there and make it a little easier on Dave Roberts and have less guys come in after the game. But this series has been pretty much deadlocked in a lot of categories. Runs. Both teams have gone through droughts. Both teams have had frustration with their offense. Both teams have come out of it. The Milwaukee Brewers did it yesterday in game 6.
Here's one into right. Arcia is on again. 1 hop fielded by Puig, and this 7th inning continues. What a postseason for Orlando Arcia. And that keeps the inning alive for a pinch hitter, Granderson. And that's going to be it for Ryan Madson. This is an interesting move as well, as Kenley Jansen is into the ball game with 2 out in the 7th. A lot of outs to get. If if Dave Roberts is going to have him finish this game. Back to the NLCS, presented by the Google Assistant on FS1. And as we look ahead to the World Series, it starts on Tuesday at Fenway Park in Boston, 7:30 Eastern for Game 1. And then playing in the National League City over the following weekend. Welcome back to the land of the quick hook, as Curtis Granderson comes off the bench after the 2-out hit by Arcia, and it's Kenley Jansen with a throw over. Jansen appearing here in the 7th inning in a 4-run game. Interesting move.
Yeah, it is. It puts Arcia in a position he can steal, and they can maybe steal a run here if he wants with 2 outs. Slow to home plate.
Strike 1. Granderson is hitting for Knebel, who ends up coming in and just getting 1 out. And he struck out Max Muncy to get it. There was an out behind him with a caught stealing. Here's the 0-1. You wonder if you make this move in the 7th with your closer up by 4. And again, this is kind of new world thinking. If one of the reasons you do that is because you have Clayton Kershaw down in the bullpen.
Well, I'm sure it doesn't hurt, but the idea would be for Jansen to just close this thing out. I thought he'd pitch the 8th and the 9th, so Dave Roberts is just going to ask him to pitch just 1 more out.
Jansen worked 2 innings in the 13-inning game in game number 4, and then had to come in for 1 out the following afternoon to close down and get the save in game 5. Granderson chokes way up on the bat with 2 strikes. Heart of the order will bat for the Dodgers in the 8th. around him, fouled it back.
Jansen's cutter, not easy for left-handers because he can ride it in there and have that late movement. And recently his late movement's coming back. There was a period there where he had given up a bunch of home runs and struggled trying to create velocity and create movement. That's not going to work. He said it's natural now and it feels a lot better.
A strikeout with Barnes to finish to end the 7th. 8th inning now. Big bats coming up for the Dodgers, who lead this one by 4. LCS on FS1 is presented by the Google Assistant, an easier way to get things done with just your voice, and is sponsored by Hankook Tire. Chase down your passion, never halfway, and by State Farm, here to help life go right. 8th inning of a 5-1 game, and the Brewers call on Brandon Woodruff, who's been awesome this postseason and in this series in particular. Turner takes a strike at 97. Big-bodied right-hander Brandon Woodruff hit a home run in game 1 through a couple of shutout innings. He was great in game 5 and 5 1/3. 98 for strike 2.
Well, again, whatever you think about it, the strategy of this series, it's not going to be this way for the Brewers next year. And big reason is the guy on the mound, Burns. You could go down the list. They could have 5, 6, 7, 8 guys competing for a starting job next year, and look for that to be a much different picture for Craig Counsell. No matter what happens in this series moving on, they have weapons, and those weapons just happen to be this year they were coming out of the pen.
Hader came into this game in inning number 3, went 3 innings, allowed 1 hit, struck out 4, walked 1. The problem for the Brewers was when he came in, they were trailing. And then an add-on inning in the 6th, the 3-run shot by Puig off Jeffress. And it has remained 5-1. Runs via the home run. That's how the Dodgers got to the postseason. Ended up on top of the NL West tonight. All 5 of their runs because of the home run ball. One by Bellinger, one by Puig. The 1-2.
And you know what? Part of the reason we're here in Game 7 is because of Justin Turner. Game 2, the comeback and the 2-run homer late when the Dodgers had run out of position players. And had they not scored in that 8th inning, don't know what their probability of scoring in the 9th was going to be when a pitcher had to hit. So a lot of things had to happen for both these teams. And ultimately it has led us to this Game 7.
Another 1-2 and a strikeout on high heat at 98 from Woodruff. With Manny Machado coming up 2 for 3 tonight. Let's go down to Tom Verducci.
Well, Joe, I think people need to appreciate what a brilliant baseball play Manny Machado made leading off the 2nd inning. 1 for his last 12, facing a tough right-hander. Watch the execution here. He's taking his time, the bat parallel. This is a guy not rushing a 2-strike bunt. Now, in this situation, Manny Machado had never in his career in the major leagues had a 2-strike bunt. And yet he's doing it with flawless execution. That is so impressive. Now think about, Joe, you talked about all the home runs, 5 runs scoring on home runs by a team that led the league in home runs. This began with a 2-strike bunt single by their cleanup hitter.
Followed by the 2-run home run by Cody Bellinger. And then the speed of Bellinger to avoid a double play to extend the inning for Puig, who hit a 2-out 3-run shot. As the count's 0-2 and a blink on Machado.
The little things that can get overlooked. Bellinger has been in the middle of some of the biggest things for the Dodgers, and they didn't necessarily revolve around, like you said, his obvious home run, but it's his hustle, his defensive play, his versatility.
Struck him out on a pitch down and away. 2 out. And Woodruff keeps on rolling. The reliance on the bullpen as Cody Bellinger will walk in. I mentioned how the Brewers starting pitchers, and it's kind of a little skewed because of Wade Miley getting that kind of fake start in game number 5 where he faced 1 batter. The starting pitchers for the Brewers have totaled 20 1/3 innings pitched in this NLCS, allowing only 6 runs. When they had their chance, they did well. In the 92 7-game NLCS against the Pirates, my partner John Smoltz threw 20 1/3 innings to win the MVP.
That was eons ago.
Strike 2. This game is so different here in 2018. My phone's been blowing up all game. I know your phone's been blowing up all game. It's like, what is going on? The pitching changes. Chacin lasting 2 innings. Jansen coming into the game in the 7th, up by 4. Hader pitching in the 3rd inning. Just inside as Woodruff tries to strike out the side here in the 8th.
Heads are falling off. But it is, you know, it is intriguing to see how Craig Counsell has had to take his team through this journey. I mean, even in the last, again, I go back 3 weeks at the end of the season, who could have envisioned the Milwaukee Brewers to be actually at this point. So he's done an incredible job.
2-2.
Go all the way back to the beginning of the series, and each manager knew what they had to do to win the series, and it needed to be a shorter series, no doubt, for the Brewers. It needed to be, for them to be successful. This was set up. That game 2 and that long extra inning game took a lot out of them and put them in a tough spot. For the Dodgers, it was going to be about patience. And that patience, even though they've made a ton of relief moves as well, that patience of giving innings, even when the score didn't indicate it might be fruitful, is really kind of the difference, and why they may end up representing the National League again.
Woodruff strikes out the side in the 8th. Electric stuff. We've seen some plays in this game. That catch by Taylor back in the 5th. The home run by Puig, the 3-run shot. It's 5-1 LA. Well, it's the 8th inning. The opportunity could come here for the Brewers. The save may come here for the Dodgers. Top of the order. Kane, Yelich, and Braun. 5-1 Dodgers. Here we go. Strike one.
Yeah, this is their best chance to obviously climb back into the game and create more stress, but it starts with this guy, and of course Yelich, the only person responsible for the run with his homer early.
He came in the first inning with 1 out. Was trumped by the 2-run shot by Bellinger the next half inning. That's down and in. Clayton Kershaw just played long toss. The before the inning started with Yasiel Puig in right. Just throwing that out there. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jansen makes a nice play and flips for the out.
This was between innings. This happens a lot. You get someone from the bullpen, if it's close enough to your outfielder, to play a little catch. Speaking of playing catch, hard to believe Jansen was a former catcher.
And a guy who told him that he was going from catcher to pitcher is actually standing at first base for the Brewers, Carlos Subero, who was his minor league manager in the Dodgers system. That changed the career of Kenley Jansen, the future of the Dodgers, and the bank account of this big right-hander.
Yeah, unbelievable. Of course, a lot of catchers have great arms, but don't always translate. You see more converted catchers become pitchers, I would think.
Yelich waits for the 0-1. And that zips in there for strike number 2, and you see that better velocity that Kenley Jansen did not have even when he came back off the disabled list in August. Had an irregular heartbeat. They got him on medication. They've had to fine-tune that medication. He feels a lot better, but still facing a procedure after the year's over. Ball 1. We talked about this the other night, but this is a big man. He's got a great disposition, couldn't be nicer, and talked about how when he was giving up home runs, and he gave up 7 in the 18 appearances after he came back, he said, I didn't like the fact that it didn't make me mad.
Yeah.
I was on so much medication, but I needed it. I'm a husband, a father. I was worried about the rest of my life, so he had to get everything back in balance. With 1 out, here's his 1-2 to Yelich. Struck him out up around the letters. 2 down.
Well, that's the hardest thing. When you see that cutter and a ball up from a hitter, you're sitting at home going, why would anyone swing at that? Ball just keeps riding. Looks good. You think you're going to get on top of it? No chance.
Well, if anything should start for the Milwaukee Brewers, Clayton Kershaw is warming up.
Yeah, that's a nice little side session, getting them ready for game 1, too. Doubles as that, because this would be his side day. So we got a little bonus going on, you know, a little side work, potential game 1. Or come in here if he need be.
Ken Rosenthal.
Remember game 5, guys, in the 2016 division series, Dodgers against Nationals. Jansen pitched 2 1/3 innings. Kershaw on 1 day's rest came in for the final 2 outs. This scenario is playing out much the same way.
But a different look on the scoreboard. 5-1 the Dodgers lead. 2 out, nobody on in the 8th. 94 from Jansen, a ball and a strike. So you heard from Kenny that Kenley is gone 2 1/3 in the postseason. That's what he would have to do if he's going to finish this game. And if he does, it would be a season high with regard to innings pitched. So far, he's only thrown 13 pitches.
Yeah. Smooth.
1-2 at 96. That's as hard as he's going to throw.
Now, I'm going to be the first to say I have not been predicting strategy very well based on choices of pitchers, but I will be shocked if he doesn't pitch the 9th inning.
Yeah, we're hitting about 120 with our predictions. A 1-2 struck him out, and Jansen has faced 4, retired 4. Game 7 into the 9th inning. Dodgers batting up 4. Hey Google, when does the World Series start?
2018 World Series begins on Tuesday, October 23, 2018, and ends on Wednesday, October 31, 2018.
7:30 on the air on Tuesday on Fox. And if it does end that following Wednesday, that means, I guess barring rain out, it would be a 7-game series. Dodgers trying to punch their ticket. Leading by 4, 9th inning in Game 7, and Woodruff, who struck out the side in the 8th, fires down and into Puig, ball 1. Puig, then Taylor, then Barnes. The biggest swing of the night. 2 on, 2 out. And just out into left center field. Two balls, no strikes. 2-1.
He hit it to the farthest part of the park, and obviously when he hit it, he knew a couple runs were going to score, but hitting the top of the wall allowed all 3.
Inside 3-1. He burst onto the big league scene in 2013, did Puig. Had that incredible first month of June when he came up. Ended up hitting .319 with 19 home runs, 42 RBIs. But it hasn't all been smooth sailing since. Left side going to be a tough play. Bad hop and no chance for Moustakas as Puig is on to start the 9th. Maybe the most dramatic play of the game was this. The dynamic play of the game presented by Hankook Tire. The 2-out sliding catch in left center by Chris Taylor to keep the Dodgers on top 2-1 to rob Yelich and the Brewers of at least a run.
Yeah, and one will never know if whether or not Peterson, who started the game, would be able to make that play as a left-handed left fielder. But it was a moot point because it was this guy.
And now he's on with a base hit into left. Puig will think about going, and he will make it. Down to second is Taylor. And Puig running on Braun ends up at third. Taylor at second, nobody out. And they're making sure Puig's okay after that slide into the bag.
Puig just looked like, you know, at the end he wasn't prepared to slide, as this is a late slide and not even the proper slide. You know, he was slowing down coming into the bag, and you hear Chris Woodward said, "Get down, get down, get down."
Ends up with his arm wrapped around the base. And then his leg crossed. But I was leading to, with regard to Puig, the way Dave Roberts has been able to handle all the potential and all that goes on with Yasiel. Infield is in, nobody out. The batter is Barnes.
And you could sense he didn't mind the emotion. And Puig plays with a ton of emotion. That's not the issue. It's just at times the baseball instincts don't always align with what Dave Roberts in the past was hoping, whether it's overthrowing a base or running into an out. Or
here's one up the middle. The runners will hold one away. Those are big runs out there for Woodruff to keep off the board for a lot of reasons. Right now, the Dodgers are going to hit for Kenley Jansen. Here's the play made by Arcia. Matt Kemp is going to be intentionally passed to load the bases, and getting loose out in that bullpen is Wood, Alex Wood, and we've seen Kershaw up.
Well, these runs are a lot more important now to Dave Roberts to pinch hit, and then they walk Kemp. I do believe had the runners been on, Kenley would have hit, and he would have pitched in the ninth in a 4-run game. But a chance to really break it open here. You like the leverage that Dave Roberts has now.
Kike Hernandez had an infield hit his last time up. That's his first hit of this LCS. And now Clayton Kershaw joins Alex Wood. So this little rally has done something the Brewers couldn't do with their bats, and that is get Jansen out of the ball game. Now we'll see if it leads to runs or if it leads to stress in the bottom of this ninth.
Runs, and Wood is in. A quick double play, and I believe Mr. Kershaw is in.
Bases loaded, 1 out. Kike Hernandez pops it foul out of play. Puig an infield hit and a base hit to left by Taylor. Puig took third. Taylor took second on the single. Barnes grounded out. The intentional walk to Kemp, and now the 0-1 pitch. Strike 2. Woodruff has proven this postseason, and in this series in particular, he has the stuff to get out of this.
Sure does. Still go back to his Game 5 performance. Fantastic.
The Brewers have the heart of their lineup coming up in the bottom of this ninth inning. They'll be trailing by at least 4. Kike Hernandez does not cut down on his swing with 2 strikes. He just lets it fly.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of Dodgers in this lineup that really do that, so they're looking and banking on mistakes. And look, the Brewer pitchers have not made a whole lot of mistakes when they've come in, especially the relievers.
Kratz goes out to visit. The 2 left-handers getting ready, and now Joakim Soria getting loose for the Brewers in their pen. Wouldn't chase it, ball 1. Five runs, 10 hits, no errors for the Dodgers. 1 run, 7 hits, no errors for Milwaukee. They've stranded 5. Dodgers have left only 3. They have 3 on here with 1 out. And 2 out. Hernandez doesn't agree.
Try to throw the fastball up, and they catch the absolute top corner.
That's 3 more strikeouts for Hernandez in this one, and 8 in this NLCS for Kike, who is 1 for 14. Here's Muncy. 2 out now as Woodruff tries to keep it within reach. Ball one with Puig dancing around over on the third baseline. Woodruff acknowledged him as he misstepping away to Muncy, who's been on base twice.
Well, both these teams, whoever represents the National League, are really well suited to play in the American League style DH because you've seen all these moves. I think these two teams have the best DH possibility of all National League teams that aren't set up that way typically.
That's ball two. The interesting part will be for the Red Sox, who have, with no DH, 4 outfield types with JD Martinez. Somebody either sits, or Mookie Betts, who is an all-world outfielder and showed it during the ALCS, could come in and play second base. And that's where he began his career, as a middle infielder. That's for another day. Here's a 2-0 pitch. Ball 3. I guarantee you, those watching from Boston, both fans, players, manager, general manager, are rooting for Woodruff to get this out, keep it within reach for the Brewers, and watch the Dodgers use Clayton Kershaw in this game.
No doubt. No doubt. I still think even if Clayton Kershaw pitches an inning, it's not that big a deal for him to start game 1.
Meanwhile, a 3-0 right down the middle. The Brewers are thinking get off the field and get a rally going with Shaw, Aguilar, and Moustakas coming up in the bottom of the inning. Very few have left here at Miller Park. (3-1) to Muncy. Full count, and the runners will go. Puig from third, Taylor from second, Kemp from first. Good pitch.
Good pitch. Gets him back in the count. 3-2. 2-0. He threw a breaking ball, and Muncy did not chase. What will he throw here on 3-2?
Here it is. Struck him out. What a job by Woodruff. And Kenley Jansen is out of this game. Big bats coming up. Big lefty coming in. Bottom of the ninth in game 7, 5-1. Dodgers on top. Here's Clayton Kershaw, the left-hander, trying to finish this game. He has come out of the bullpen before during the postseason. Kenny talked about 2016, the National League Division Series, with 1 day of rest. Last year in the World Series, he ended up going 4 with 2 days of rest. And it's another Game 7 for the Dodgers. It's another time for Kershaw out of the pen. And he misses to Travis Shaw, ball 1. That's a strike to Shaw, who's 1 for 3.
Well, the only difference is for Kershaw, I know he's done this before, when you get warmed up in this fashion, way more chaotic and adrenaline based and less structured.
2 days of rest for him, and he gets a ground ball to the right side, picked up by Turner, 1 out. 1 down, and the Brewers are down to their final 2 outs. Here comes Aguilar.
And if there isn't a lot of pitches thrown in here, it does work as a nice little bullpen for him, and I would imagine bears no consequences on him not starting game 1.
Well, if that is the case, and if the Dodgers do move on by closing this one out, you would have 2 days of rest before game 1. That misses. Ball 1 to Aguilar, who has struck out 3 times after his big Game 6. Ball and a strike. Kershaw in Game 5 was the winner. Went 7, allowed 1 run on 3 hits, struck out 9, walked 2. Gave up a run in the 3rd inning in that game, but dodged a big inning. Ended that day by retiring the final 13 hitters he faced.
Yeah, it was that strikeout of Aguilar that really was the big part of that game that could have blown it open for the Brewers. Struck him out on a down and in slider or cutter.
Here's a 2-1 pitch. Aguilar. A late swing and a miss at a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, 2-2. That's down, a full count. With 1 out, Aguilar strikes out, and the Dodgers are 1 out away. A 4-strikeout night for Jesus Aguilar. Here's Moustakas. Dodgers trying to win the National League pennant back-to-back years for the first time since 77-78. And they're 2 strikes away from it. They beat the Cubs in the NLCS last year. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I think it's a big part of everything that they've gone through this year. You know, wasn't the greatest of starts. What, 10 games under 500 early in the season. Then they made a late run to capture the division.
Strike 2.
And I've always said experience is not much to anybody unless you put yourself in position to utilize it. And they definitely have done that. They haven't panicked. And strike away. The
Dodgers were 16-26 through May 17th. They didn't have Justin Turner, who missed the first 40 games with a break in his wrist. How about Dave Roberts? 3 years at the controls of the Dodgers. 3 straight division championships and trying to go to back-to-back World Series. Two balls, 2 strikes. The next from Kershaw. The Dodgers have won the pennant. Back to the World Series they go. A final of 5-1. As they take Game 7 here in Milwaukee. A 3-hour, 15-minute game. Madsen gets the win. Chassin takes the loss. And this Dodger team, John, that was evolving as the year went on. They made the big deal in July during the All-Star break to get Machado. They added pieces like Madsen, who was key tonight, getting the victory. And they have their big left-hander, Clayton Kershaw, on the mound as this one comes to a close.
You can tell they knew there was a lot of pressure on them, and they handled the pressure in Game 7 extremely well because of the expectation. They know their business was to get back to the World Series, and their unfinished business was to win a World Series, and they're going to have their hands full. They know that, but for the moment, they don't have to worry about answering questions about not getting there.
Both these teams played game number 163. Both these teams won game 163. The Brewers got through the Rockies. The Dodgers took care of the Braves. And now Los Angeles with this 5-1 win tonight has defeated Milwaukee, and on to the World Series they go. And they even their franchise mark at 4-4 in Game 7s.
And I'll tell you what, Milwaukee has a lot to be proud of. These fan base, they were loud all game, and they are going to be back next year, folks.
The Brewers have so much to build on, especially with their good young pitching, but the here and now belongs to the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers in this series played small ball at times, long ball, especially in this game. Dave Roberts has loved his bullpen throughout this series, and the bullpen did a tremendous job. Let's go down to the field and Tom Verducci.
Clayton, you're used to starting these things. When did you know you had the 9th inning, and what was it like waiting for that spot to come around for you?
Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect going down there, and then, Walker's throwing the ball so well, and, Mad Dog came in and threw the ball unbelievable. And then once Kinley came in, I kind of figured that, he might not go that long. So I started thinking about it once Kinley came in the game, and sure enough, I didn't know if we were going to score there or not, and we didn't end up scoring, so it came in the game.
Clayton, in May, you were 10 games under 500. In September, you were 3rd place. In this series, you were down 2 games to 1. What does it mean for you, for this club, after all that, to be going back to the World Series?
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you get there, but to get to go back from last year is it's unbelievable. And then what you said, where we came from this year, it's a testament to these guys, man. I mean, it's a great group. We're excited. We're going to celebrate tonight, but we don't want to lose again. So we're going to be ready to go.
Well, Clayton, you've pitched in 29 different ballparks in the regular season, not once in Fenway Park. How much are you looking forward to that opportunity in the World Series?
Yeah, there's a few parks I haven't pitched in. I haven't pitched in a few over there, but I've been to Boston once. Obviously, it's been a long time for me personally, for this team, and we know what it's like there. We've heard about it, and we'll be ready.
Thanks so much. Congratulations.
All right, thanks.
Now over to Ken Rosenthal.
Thanks, Tom. Chris, that catch in the 5th inning on Yelich, it was a game changer. Off the bat, what did you think?
Honestly, I thought it might have been Belly's ball. You know, I knew it was in the gap. I was just trying to run hard, get to the spot, and I think it tailed enough to where I kind of had to change my route and go back towards the fence a little bit, but I'm just glad I caught it.
You started the game at second base, moved to left field in the third inning. How difficult is it to recalibrate once you change positions?
I mean, we're so used to it now. I mean, I don't remember the last time I played a game at one position the whole game. You know, we've changed so much that, you know, it's just become second nature now.
What was it like playing in this series against a team that used pitching the way Milwaukee did?
Oh, it was a grind. You know, that was a battle from start to finish. Can't give Milwaukee enough credit. That's an unbelievable team, and they're going to be a force for a while.
Chris, thank you very much. Joe, back to you.
All right, thank you, Kenny. We look at more reactions with the final pitch and the strikeout, as Machado, picked up in July, is going to the World Series for the first time in his career. And Madsen, who got the win in the clinching Game 4 of the Division Series, gets the win out of the bullpen in Game 7 of the NLCS. The trophy ceremony here in Milwaukee is still to come your way. The Dodgers will hang here and then head to Boston. Right now we go to LA for our post-game coverage.